With that, let's bring in our first guest as we broaden out this conversation and welcome in Patrick Mueller, the president of Bella Advisors, to discuss the macro landscape and more. I was going through some of the materials you sent over to us, Patrick, and you're speaking a language I understand, which is seemingly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking at what the market's doing. What the market's been doing is rotating. Talk to us about what you're focused on.
Absolutely. Great to be with you, Alex. And when it comes to this market rotation that we're seeing right now, things have been so heavily weighted towards tech and the Mag 7, and we have been seeing basically these handful of companies that have really just been propping up the overall markets. Last year, 40% of the S&P finished down, and you had those top 10 companies that equated to more than 40% of the growth of the entire S&P. So it's nice to see that that's switching around. I mean, not that we ever want to see anything negative, but now you got the Mag 7 that's negative for the year, and you're starting to see a resurgence from small cap companies, mid cap companies. So that's nice to see. It's nice to see that everything is just not coming from a handful of companies. So it's nice to see things somewhat, people coming back to reality, I think.
Yeah, one of your quotes was actually how you began the materials you sent over here. Says Wall Street has gone from falling in love with AI to asking, so what do you do for a living? I love this because we got a chart that I had the team build out beforehand, which basically is a 3-month line chart where I took sort of the 5 AI infrastructure chip makers and I market cap weighted them, indexed it to 100. And then I did the same with what I consider the hyperscaler names. So you got your Metas, your Microsofts, your Amazons, your Oracles, and your Alphabet in there. Did the same. And what you'll see is, you know, really at the end of April, early May, as you've noticed, I'm sure as well, last time we heard from some of those big hyperscalers on earnings and they announced these giant CapEx, that correlation broke down. And the names that are cashing the checks are doing fine, but it's sort of been at the expense of those Mag 7 names, those names that are writing the checks. And when you see that, and you start looking at how to position in the marketplace right now, that's a very different market dynamic, and it kind of explains why April was so good for the market, and we've been kind of sideways since. What do you make of that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that you're starting to see, you know, you've got these big players that are pumping so much money into the markets now, and I think it's bringing a lot of light to a lot of these little players that people are starting to get more excited about. And so I think you're starting to see a broadening away from just those handful of companies. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here in the near future, because we're getting into earnings season here. And you've got these AI companies that are going to have to start backing up a lot of these numbers. So you got so much money that's being pumped into AI right now. At some point, they're going to have to back up the money that's pouring into it and start seeing some actual cash flow and things happening. And so I would, caution everybody, even though we've seen that resurgence in different parts of the AI sectors, that people need to take some of the chips off of the table, and because there's going to be a period of time where the rug's going to get pulled out from under people, and I never want to see people get hurt by that.
Well, and right now the correlation is very tight between semis and the S&P. From an explanatory standpoint, it's such an important subsector and industry group, but ultimately, I'm going to ask you, where we kind of position with all this in mind, but there's a few other things that I want to touch base on first. This is sort of the one pillar, the AI trade's the one pillar, but, I just was talking about the oil trade and the geopolitical tensions. Whenever I look at sort of survey data amongst market participants, it's continually cited as a big concern amongst investors. How do you feel about that as sort of a wild card that still is clouding the marketplace?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, everything that's going on with the war right now and oil, it's going to be so hit and miss. And I think there's going to be so much uncertainty until then. You're going to see that when it comes to, people are hedging off of gold and that being the safe haven, just because it had such a big run for so long. And people are really kind of uncertain of where to even place their money right now. And I think it's so important for people to take some of those chips off of the table. Like, there's a great fund that we use called ACYN, which gives us a 12% yield. It's a structured note ETF. And so there's things that people can be taking a look at that as we're going through these weird times in the markets and things are so oddly skewed to where people can be getting a nice fixed rate of return. And so we like peppering some of that in to our portfolios over here as we're facing this uncertainty.
So that's one way, of course, which is reducing just general exposure, whether that's raising cash, moving around allocations. But even within, let's say, a core equity allocation that many want to have, for the long term, let's say they hear your conversations around tech, they see the same risks, and they maybe want to adjust that outsized exposure. What are some maybe other industry groups or sectors you're looking at? Are you looking at equal weight, or how are you managing sort of that beta or AI trade risk?
Absolutely. So some of the different things that we take a look at, we're taking a look at American renaissance. So we're taking a look at the reshoring of companies and the growth of this this administration's really promoting manufacturers coming back to the U.S. And so we like that sector a whole lot as far as industrials and things that manufacturing coming back to the U.S. That's been doing very well, and that's going to be a big push for the next few years. And then also we like the energy infrastructure because all of these AI companies, right, somebody's got to be paying the power bill. So we like grid and companies like that like Micron as well. But we like companies like that is going to be, fueling all the energy. So those are a couple of different places that I'd be looking right now.
Patrick, I really appreciate you taking the time. Patrick Mueller, president of Belly Advisors. You have a great weekend. We'll catch up again soon.